How's it going, Rogues Gallery? Today we have an incredibly fun video because we are talking about my most anticipated new game of 2024, Grimpath. This is a game that I've already done a video on and went kind of pretty deep into it almost a year or so ago. I have recently play tested this game in person, that's why I have this, and I have to say, it's so much fun. It is an incredibly fun game, and I kept thinking about it after I had play tested it. And I get sent games every so often to play test, to give feedback to the developers, and this is one of the games that I just keep thinking about and I want to play more, and it is so interesting and so much fun, and it is so unique in the trading card game space. It is a war game mixed with a trading card game, and it is like equal parts. Like, you really get that wargaming experience, and it is just I keep going in circles. It's so much fun. It is so much fun. So today, instead of popping up images and showing them, we're gonna actually showcase what I have, everything that the creator Dave has sent to me, and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about how the game plays, give some feedback. One of the things to note is that Grimpath is going to be a game that is launching very soon on Kickstarter, and if you are interested, I will have a little link in the description down below so you can like click it and follow it and all that kind of stuff. But I want to give a caveat here for all the people who are just trying to find like the next big thing to cash in on Kickstarter, to invest in or whatever. We're not going to talk about it today because I frankly don't care, right? I'm treating this 100% as any other board game that I would back on Kickstarter just because I want to play it. And that's what it really boils down to for me. This game is really fun and I want to play it. I want to play it more. I want to customize my little army and make decks, and it is a blast. In fact, it's hard to say right now, but it might be the most fun I've had playing a grid-based card game, right? We'll talk about all of the nuts and bolts when we show off the pieces and start talking about the cards and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll go really deep into it when Dave comes on the channel, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But just know, this game is super cool. And if you're here and you're like, oh, is it investable? I don't know. And also, I don't care. That's not why I like this game, and that's not going to factor into any of my discussion of Grimpath. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do today. I'm really excited to talk about it. If you couldn't tell, hey, you know what? While you're here, like the video, comment down below, and maybe subscribe. Maybe ring that notification bell, because apparently there's a lot of people who watch but aren't subscribed, and that would be cool. You know what else is cool? Grimpath. Grimpath is cool. Before we get going, I just want to say, like, if you like Dungeons and Dragons combat, if you like XCOM combat, this is for you. If you like a mix of that, and then like maybe like what the combat reminds me of also is kind of like Slay the Spire, right? Where you draw your attacks and then you use those attacks to attack. You can also just do like basic attacks and stuff, but it feels like this distillation, this combination of all of these things. Trading card game, war game, reminds me of D&D, reminds me of XCOM. It's great, and yeah, I just wanted to let you know before we started talking more, which is right now. All right, and here is the Grimpath demo and introductory set. I'm not sure how many of these things exist. They're a like pretty rough, I don't know if you would want to call it like a pre-alpha or something like that, testing kit, but parts of it are a little rough, but parts of it are also like pretty solid, which I think is a really good sign. I've demoed and tested a lot of games, and this is quite further along than a lot of games that I have tested, I'll just say that. So yeah, let's check it out. I also want to mention, here is the play space that Dave sent me. This one is a playmat. It's a lot longer than your traditional playmats. It has your warband, your discard pile. We'll talk about that, as well as the area that you play your cards. And the grid here is a 10 by 10 grid where you move your minis around. That's right, this is a mini game. And it's one of the core draws of this game, I think. You have a deck, and you also have minis. And I think it's like really cool, and it actually works really well. Okay, so let's open this up. Welcome to a brand new world, demo and introductory set for Grimpath. We also have this board that comes inside that also has like a grid on it. I like this playmat more. One of my pieces of feedback that I would give about this grid is, first of all, keep all this in mind. This is a really, really early first printing demo version, not indicative of the final version at all, but I think this is very dark, right? Whereas the grid here is very nice and easy to see where the spaces are and everything. This is a little dark. So my advice for this one would be to like lighten it up and maybe make the grid more prominent on this one. So we didn't play with this one. We actually just played with this playmat, which I'm very happy and thankful that that Dave sent on over. All right, so here is the contents, and as you would see, it looks like a board game, right? This looks like the stuff that you would get in a board game. We do have a little rule booklet here. We'll talk about this in just a second. I already gave Dave a bunch of feedback in regards to the rules and asked a bunch of questions, and he took notes and wrote some stuff down, all that kind of good stuff, as you do when you do play testing. I actually do proper play testing and ask questions and make, talk about mechanics and rules and corner cases and all that kind of stuff. So we have all this stuff in here. So we'll go over the cards last, because I think the most interesting part is all of the other stuff. So he sent me some cards. Here's the 2 decks that Robin and I played with, and here are some terrain pieces. So when you play Grimpath, you have a 30-card deck, and then you have a warband of minis, right? And you can bring as many minis as you want. The cards summon the minis, except for your warlord. So here is like a goblin shaman warlord. What's really cool is that, once again, Grimpath uses minis. Here's another mini. This is kind of like a ooze with a ooze warrior with a sword. Very, very cool. So Grimpath will have its own proprietary minis that you can purchase. He's going to have multiple tiers of minis in terms of complexity. So he's going to have ones like this, which are just already done. He's going to have ones that you can assemble. And then, for those people out there who really like building your minis, gluing them together, cutting them out of the sprues or whatever, and then painting them, you can totally do that. Or if you're like me and don't like that, you just got these and you have your little warband. For testing, we have these little standees, right? These worked perfectly fine and were super fun with just the standees. We'll show those off in just a second, but I do want to point out the minis. One really, really cool and consumer-friendly thing about Grimpath is that you are allowed to use your own minis. If you want to kit bash your own minis, if you want to 3D print your own custom minis, if you have minis from another game, if you have, old leftover minis from a board game, you can use them in Grimpath. You just have to make sure that, it makes sense, right? You're not going to play a goblin card and then put down a dragon mini. You just have to make sure that it makes sense for the minis that you're using. So, yes, I think that's awesome. I think it's very consumer friendly and just one of the many great things that I really, really like about Grimpath. Or, like I said, you can buy the specific Grimpath minis, and there will be specific Grimpath minis. I think the prices are going to be pretty low on them too. I don't know yet. That's something we can talk about in the interview with Dave, but I think the idea is to make it very consumer friendly and very customizable, to tailor it the way that you want to make it, right? If you want to make a little goblin army, cool. If you want to make a undead skeleton army, also cool. And there's going to be a bunch of other stuff too. There's like a light faction and a shadow faction and a magic faction. I have another little goblin that he sent me as well. Look at this little dude. Look at this little goblin. The detail on these is actually surprisingly really good. You know what these remind me of? And this is what I told Dave. These remind me of those old Hero Quest little minis, right? That's what they remind me of. Oh, they're so cool. All right, so there's that. You do use dice in the game to some degree, but not for attacking or defending or anything like that. You use dice to, roll to start the game, to keep track of life, just to keep track of stats and stuff. He also sent me with a bunch of these that we, obviously you can put the little standees on. And the standees here are double-sided. I'm not 100% sure if these standees are going to be the ones that are going to be in the actual retail or Kickstarter release. But honestly, they do a real, here's a gelatinous cube. They do a really, really good job of, representing your minis. And the fact that you can use these, I think is super, super cool. Here's a little rat assassin guy. There's a little rat assassin. So yeah, very, very cool. And these, represent the cards in the decks. These are terrain pieces, and you actually place the terrain pieces on the battlefield here. So what we're going to do is we'll just kind of do a little mock setup here. So let's say one player is playing this side, another player is playing this side. You have your warlord. You don't place the warlord until you place the terrain. So what you do to start is you roll a d10, and the person who gets the higher roll goes first, and also places that many pieces of terrain on the field, and you alternate. So say this person won the die roll and they got a 4, and this person won the die roll and they got a 2. Well, this person can place a piece of terrain on their side of the field, so on their half of the field, and then this person gets to place one, and then this person gets to place one, and then you alternate until then you're done, right? And so this person rolled a 2, so maybe they'll put another piece right here, but this person rolled a 4, so they can put another one here, and another one like here maybe, right? Now you place your warlords. So first person places their warlord, has to be on the starting row. Second person places their warlord. Let's say they'll put it over here, something like that. And then you begin play. Look at this. This already looks so different than any other card game out there. Does this look like Magic or Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Flesh and Blood? This looks like no other card game out there. This doesn't even look like other grid-based games like Sorcery or like, I don't know, like Genesis or something. This looks 100% completely unique because this looks like a war game, and that's what it is. It is a war game, card game hybrid, and it works. I vibe with it so much. And so let's kind of break down some of the cards and that kind of stuff. So this is just going to be a really, really rough way on how to play, right? A lot of these cards are like incomplete. Some of them have placeholder artwork. Some of them have like spelling errors or just like things are wrong. Like I said, this is a really rough early first version. After the Kickstarter is funded, and maybe up until then too, Dave is going to be continuing to work on that. Maybe hire someone to proofread all the cards and make sure everything is spelled right and all that kind of good stuff. But yes, the cards already look fantastic. I should note the card back is not finalized. I think the card back is also still a placeholder. He recently did a poll asking about card backs. But you have your card to represent your warlord. I don't actually have a mini for the Brood Witch, but we'll use the glue trap. We'll use this dude to represent, as I drop him, this dude to represent the glue trap warlord, right? And so your warlord starts on the field and has these abilities. This number in the top is how much influence this card generates. Your warlord generates influence, but so do influence cards as well as your minions, right? And you can think of influence kind of like your mana, right? Or your resources, however you want to describe that. And then you use the influence to play cards, summon allies, minions, all that kind of good stuff. Here is the attack value of this particular card. Minions also have attack value. Here is the health. The objective of Grimpath is to kill the enemy warlord, right? That's the only way to win. Kill the enemy warlord. When you run out of cards in the deck, you keep going. You just keep going until you kill the enemy warlord. It's very simple and honestly really fun and a lot more dynamic than it sounds, right? Your warlord also has abilities. So like Glue Trap here is a Shadow Warlord, Undead Slime, and you can pay 1 influence of a Shadow influence to attach a minion you control that dies next to Glue Trap to Glue Trap. He's a Glue Trap. He traps things in his glue. And then you can also destroy an attached minion to prevent 1 damage from being dealt to Glue Trap. So when your things die next to him, they get stuck to him, and then he like uses their dead bodies as shields. It's pretty cool. And then we have like the Web Wraith Brood Witch. What's interesting about this is she has an influence of 2. So you can use her, like tap, or I'm just gonna use magic terms. I don't know the official terminology. You can tap her to generate 2, right? You can also tap a unit to attack. Yeah, so it's similar to that, right? So you can either choose to attack, you can choose to use it for resources. If they are tapped, you can still move them on the field. You can move them on a 1-to-1 ratio by spending influence, right? So I could tap, let's say we're playing with Glue Trap and I want to move Glue Trap. I can tap Glue Trap, generate 1 influence and move him 1 step. The measurements are done in steps, right? So if I can move 4 steps, you move 4 steps in a cardinal direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of like that. You cannot move diagonally, but you can attack diagonally and interact diagonally, and all around, right? You can also climb. The terrain is a thing. You can climb. There is high ground. There is fall damage. So if someone like knocks you off, you could take fall damage based on how high it was. It's a war game. It's awesome, but you do it with cards, which is also awesome. So you don't have to memorize a whole bunch of rules because all the rules are already on the cards. All right, let's show off some other cards, right? So this is Undead Servant. This is a, it generates 1 influence. It's a 1 attack, 2 health. It costs 3 shadow influence to play. And it says after recruiting Severed Servant, have it pay X health to summon that many 1/1 undead tokens next to it, right? So what's really cool about this is you can play this card, right? And when you summon a mini, you summon them on your starting row, so anywhere on your starting row, or adjacent to your warlord. And what's cool about this card and Glue Trap is you can summon this next to Glue Trap and then immediately pay all of its health, thereby killing it and summoning 2 1/1s. And then when this dies, you can use Glue Trap's ability to stick it next to stick it on Glue Trap, right? So it dies and then it gets stuck on Glue Trap, and you can use it as his undead armor kind of deal. Super cool. You also have cards like this. This is an influence card. So you, similar to Magic in that you can play 1 influence per turn. You play it down in your your card area. So you play it down in your card area. You also have your warlord in your card area, and you have, let's say we have this guy in our card area. And to be a little more official, let's say we've actually played that. Let's say we played that, and we'll go grab the little standee for it, and we'll set it down somewhere. Let's say that we didn't do that little combo that I said, and we'll stick this dude over here, right? All right, so you play your influence down in your little card area here, and then you can tap it, like a land or something, for influence. But all influence cards have special abilities on them that you can use to use their abilities. Most of them help you move around, right? So you can pay influence on a 1-to-1 rate to move around, but you can also you can also use influence cards to move around. So this one says, have a mini take 2 steps. If it's a shadow mini, it may take an additional step for each minion in your discard pile, which is really cool. So yeah, you can have this down here. You can use it for influence, or you can use it for its ability. That's awesome. You can only play 1 per turn. You can also, this is another really, really cool thing. You can also, let's actually use, I think this is a better example. So you can also use your minions as resources. So say we have this dude on the field, right? He generates 1 influence, and I could tap him and then generate the influence. We already went over that. What you can also do is once per turn, instead of playing an influence card, you can rally a minion to your warband. And the way Dave describes this is, think of it as you have your minis here cheering on your party, cheering on your warband, or cheering on your squad. And so what you do is you just place it in your warband once per turn. You can either play an influence card or rally a minion. And then this card can be used for resources, right? It will not generate the number here. It will literally only make 1 and have no other abilities. So it just sits over here and it makes resources, right? Makes influence. That's all it does. No other abilities, nothing else. You just play it and do it. So you can always have some sort of resource. This is not a bad thing. In fact, this is a great thing, because later in the game, you can play this as though it were in your hand, right? So if you don't need it for resources anymore, say you already have a bunch of resources and you want to pay the 6 here, so it's 4 of any and then 2 shadow, kind of like Magic there, you can play it from your warband area. It just has to be untapped, right? You can't tap it and then play it. It has to be untapped. But they're not gone forever. You just set them over there and then you can play them later. It's so good, and it just plays very, very well. There's also spell cards. So like this one is an initiative card, which is kind of like think of it like an instant or something like that. You can use it on your opponent's turn in response to various things. This one says it's an initiative. You attach Death Stare to an exhausted minion, then put a stun counter set to 2 on it. Destroy Death Stare when there are no stun counters on it, and stun counter basically just, it's stunned, right? It says instead of reading a card with stun counters on it, remove one. Minis can't move while stunned. And you can probably see how you play from here. You summon your minis, you attack your opponent's stuff. The way combat works is pretty simple. It's not exactly like Magic. So, you know, let me grab a little, I'm gonna grab a little, you know, this is going to be a good example. I'll grab this Goblin Archer. I think they're called like a drop Goblin or something like that. So we're going to grab this Drop Goblin. We'll set them in the thing. I also got quite good at putting these on. So yeah, we have a Drop Goblin here. And let's say Drop Goblin is chilling right there. And let's go open up the Fury deck. And we'll grab the Goblin card so we can see what its stats are and see what its abilities are. Let's find the Drop Goblin. So here's some of the cards in here. Pack Goblin. Oh, here's the Drop Goblin, right? All right. So here is the Drop Goblin. It's 3 cost. It generates 1 influence when you tap it. It has 1 attack, 2 health, but it also says recruit Drop Goblin onto any high ground. So unlike other minis, right, that have to be either in your starting row or next to your Warlord, this dude can be deployed anywhere. So actually, let's say you play this and you stick it right here on top of your opponent's high ground. That's great. He also has ranged 4, and so that does exactly what you think it does. It gives you a range of 4. So this goblin could shoot this guy because it has a range of 4. You just count that number of squares, right? You don't count diagonals, you just count the number of squares. So this one has ranged 4, and you count 1, 2, 3, he can shoot it. Can he shoot it from here? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, he cannot. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He can shoot it at that range. All right, so let's say the Drop Goblin's up here, right? And you want to attack. Simple. You have your card out, right? It's over here. You attack. You tap it to attack, right? And you're just like, I'm going to attack. And then your opponent's like, okay. Now they can choose if they want to block with another dude. So if they have another dude here, they can block. They can have that dude block. To block, you literally swap the minis, right? It's kind of like castling in chess. So to block, you're like, I'm going to block. And then now they swap places. And this is now the target. They have to be right next to each other. They have to be next to each other. And now this is the target. And so this would take the damage, right? Since this is ranged, he hits the dude. This guy's not ranged. He doesn't hit back. Ranged, they can fire back at each other. To hit back, let's say the goblin was here for some reason, right? Let's say the goblin was here. And we're just going to do very basic combat. Goblin is here. I'm going to melee attack your Warlord, right? The Warlord, if it is untapped, you can tap it to have it deal damage back. It doesn't do it automatically. It's not like Magic in that respect. You have to tap to do damage. That's the way that we were thinking about it. It's really easy to think you have to tap to do damage. So that also means if an enemy unit is tapped, so like say this dude is tapped, they can't hit you back. They can't retaliate. So it's kind of like a free attack on the unit. So there's a lot of like, strategy with that kind of stuff involved. There is line of sight as well. You can't, say this guy's here. Like I can't shoot him through the block. I guess a better example would be here. Like I can't shoot the glue trap through the block. There is line of sight. The way line of sight works is you have to draw 2 lines from any corner of your square, or you have to draw 2 lines from any corner of your square to 2 different corners of the enemy square, like so. So like draw one here to this corner and then one here to like that corner. I didn't mean to go this in depth on Grimpath. It is just, I had such a good time playing it. I want to talk about it. Here is the rulebook. There's a lot of things in the rulebook that need to be tweaked and adjusted. Like I said, it's an early version, but this is actually more robust than most rulebooks that I get at this stage of a game, which I'm very thankful for that. It kind of goes over the different types of cards. There's minions, actions, influence, and relics. Relics are what you think they are, like items. Let me pull out a cool relic that I had a cool story with. It's one of the ones that I tweeted about Oh, this is not. It's not in that deck. It's one of the ones I posted on Twitter. So this is this card here. This is a red barrel. This is one of the cards that needs to be fixed because I'd like to point out it says Fury Relic Scimitar. So at some point, this was not a red barrel, but it is a red barrel here. So this is it's not a scimitar. It's a barrel. It does exactly what you think a red barrel would do. So it costs 3 to play. You put it down next to a mini. Basically, the way you play relics is you play it on a mini. It's immediately attached to a mini, unless it says so otherwise. So this one is not. This one says drop red barrel next to a mini you control. So you just drop it down. So let's say we're going to use some dice to represent the red barrel. So let's say this is the red barrel. You could also have a mini for it as well. I don't. But say this is the red barrel. You drop the red barrel next to your dude. And it says, if red barrel is dealt... Actually, it's a Fury card. So let's say the Goblin's going to do. He drops the red barrel down right there. If damage is dealt to red barrel, destroy it, then deal 1 damage to everything next to it. Because it's a red barrel and it explodes. So you can have a situation if, say, your opponent has like these 2 dudes here, and there's a red barrel here. So say your mini's here, you pay the 3, you drop the red barrel. So this goes into your play area. You drop the red barrel right here, and then you use an influence, move your goblin 1 step away, and then you shoot it, and then it explodes and deals damage to everything around it for 1 point. The cool story from this is that I did that exact play, but Robin, she had... Hold on, let me find the card. Let's see, where is it? I don't remember what it looks like by art. Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. Dragged into Shadow. This is a 3-drop, 3 cost. Initiative, Necromancy, move target non-shadow minion next to a shadow mini you control. And so what happened is, like, I declared this as my target for an attack, and then she responded and said, okay, well, I'm just going to pull your dude right next to... Pretend this block wasn't here. I'm going to pull your dude right next to my shadow mini, and then then the barrel exploded and killed my dude. I don't know. It's just cool. Like, very fun things that would pop up in any game with this sort of system. Very, D&D-esque. Very much, got that tabletop vibes. So yeah, here's some skeleton tokens. Very, very cool. Very, very fun. What else? I mean, there's not a ton else that I want to talk about. That's kind of the gist of it. We've already been talking for like 20-something minutes. Here's like more of the in-depth rules. They have it all laid out. And it is just, it's a blast. The way that the game is going to be presented is like a trading card game. And so that is to say that there's going to be booster packs and booster sets, and you will open up packs and get cards. The minis will not be booster related. You just buy whatever mini that you want. There will be starter decks, kind of like this, like a little starter kit. And honestly, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I wish it was, not a trading card game, I don't, want to buy into more trading card games or whatever, that's cool, because I had a blast with just these. So if you buy this and have a starter deck and that's it, you could just play it like that. And then that can be it. And that's like one of the brilliant things about this, is that it plays so well and is so much fun as a board game that you can treat it exactly like that and then not have to do the TCG thing. You don't have to buy into the TCG thing, but you can if you want to expand your armies and, do all that kind of stuff, right? So, yeah. And before we go, I guess I can just show off a little bit more of the cards and that kind of good stuff. So here is, as I knock the camera, here are some of the little, like, I don't know, demo cards that Dave sent me. Here's a nice little note. And so here are some cards. These are like, these represent early versions and early iterations of the design and all that kind of stuff. So there's, you can see some different stuff here. So these are not like final iterations, but they can kind of show you a little bit of what you can expect here. Like look at that. So you can see a little bit of that, like, art-wise style. For some more updated cards, we can take a look at the decks that I was showing off. So here is the Shadow deck, right? You got giant spiders. You have this really annoying dude who prevents damage from other minis. You have this Shadowmancer who summons skeletons. You have there's a gelatinous cube, and he destroys relics when you move onto it. It's the Slurp Slime. You have the Trapclaw Assassin, really cool card that has haste, which works like it does in Magic. You can attack with it immediately. Shadow Assassin may enter, or Shadowy Assassin may enter play next to an exhausted mini. So you can actually play this dude on your opponent's line, like, you know, back lines or anything. Really cool. Good way to kill stuff because it can attack for 3. This is a great card that's just really good value. It costs 4, generates 2 influence, and is a 2/1 that when it enters play and dies, draw a card. It's great. This is great value. This is a nice little initiative that either, you know, brings a mini back from your graveyard or summons it directly into play. This card is really good, like way better than it looks. It's a 4-drop and it says recruit 3 undead 1/1 tokens. They're just really, really good. Just have all those extra little bodies on the field. Here's a little relic that adds some bonus damage. Yeah, and here's some like Skeletons. You know, let's take a look at the Fury, the Goblin army. So I played, Rob and I played several times. Every time she played with the Shadow deck, and I played with the Goblin deck. I'm not too proud to say that she beat me every single time. Yeah, she beat me every single time. I thought I was like, oh, I'm gonna get you, but no, the Shadow deck is really good, and I couldn't blitz her down with my goblins. She got there. Also, you know, my partner is very smart. So anyway, Pat Goblin, great little dude. He's a 2-cost 1/1, and then when you play him, when you recruit him, you can recruit another goblin that has the same or less power for free. So you can actually get crazy value if you play like a really expensive goblin. So one of my favorite plays was to do the Pat Goblin and then play for free the Demolitions Expert, which is normally a 4-drop. And it's a 1/2, and you can tap him and sacrifice him and deal 3 damage to adjacent minis. He explodes himself, because of course he does. Great little way to kill a bunch of stuff. This is the Warlord, the Goblin Summoner. Generates 2 influence, has 1 attack, 12 health, and if influence from Goblin Summoner, so, you know, tapping Goblin Summoner, doing his influence, if influence from him specifically was spent to recruit a minion, give that minion haste, which is great. Let's see, Leap Flogger. This is a nice little one. This is one of the cards that I was like, you know, just one of those things about having like the early alpha starter decks. So it came with 2 copies. One of them is a 2/3 and one of them is a 1/3. So I was like, which one do you want to? Is my dude a 1/3 or is it a 2/3? We ruled that we're just gonna play as is because the game is already like crazy and chaotic enough. They're just like, yeah, we'll just play it as is. This is an influence, pretty standard influence. So you can tap it to generate influence, or you can tap it to have a Fury mini take 4 steps. So you can get a little charge there. This guy's really good. He's a 5-drop. He only generates 1 influence, but he's a 2 attack, 4 health. And then when he attacks, after combat, you can deal another 1 damage to another target that's next to Painbringer and the mini that he attacked, which is great. He's got like a little cleave there. This card is like, sounds insane, but it's good, but it's still pretty balanced. So overwhelm them. It's an influence, but you can also use it to say, Fury minis take as many steps as you have Fury minis. So all of your dudes get to move the number of times that you have dudes. Good card. I already said I really like the Drop Goblin. Yeah, no, there's just some really good stuff. Goblin Infestation is great. When it enters the field, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a goblin, draw it. And then you can also use it as influence, or a mini you control may take up to 2 steps. Rocket Rider is another great one. 3-drop, 2/1, has dash. So the mini may take 2 steps for every single step it takes. So if you would use Goblin Infestation on it, it can move 4 times, 4 steps. And then its attack cannot be counterattacked or blocked. So they can't hit back and they can't block it. Good stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I've already gone on probably much longer than I had anticipated. But if you couldn't tell, I think this game is a lot of fun. You know, other than the fact that I mentioned it like 3 or 4 times. Maybe more than that. And this is the kind of game that I want to get, and then I want to build some decks, and then just just have fun and just play, right? This is the kind of game where I don't even need my friend to have a copy of this game, because I can have all the things, right? I can have 4 decks and a bunch of minis and be like, hey, you want to play with me? Pick whatever deck you want. We'll draft the decks. You pick a deck, I'll pick a deck, or whatever. And then we just play, right? It's like a fun war game experience where your opponent really doesn't even need to have their war game, right? If you want to play Warhammer Kill Team, that kind of vibe, well, here you go. Like, this is great. This is super, super fun. So I'm a big fan of Grimpath. Like I said, we're going to have Dave on the channel to talk about Grimpath. We're going to ask a lot of questions. We're going to ask some questions like, you know, how would you pitch this game to people who've never heard about it? How would you pitch this game to hardcore players, to wargamers, to local game stores who might want to carry this, right? Those are things that, you know, you need to think about, right? Even though this is this game that doesn't necessarily have to be treated like a TCG, you know, LGSs are still gonna, you know, potentially stock it. You need to think about these kind of things. So yeah, I've you know, all transparency aside, I've spoken to Dave at length already, a lot about Grimpath, and given him some like very direct feedback. And I really enjoy where the game is right now. This isn't sponsored or anything like that. I'm not getting paid. He just sent this to me so I can check it out and give him my thoughts on it. And, you know, I gave him my honest thoughts on it. And I very much enjoy it. Gave a lot of like constructive feedback too about certain things that could be changed here or there. Yeah. It's great stuff. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, and let me know what you think of Grimpath. Are you excited for it? Like I said, I will have a link to the Kickstarter there, so you can go follow it. And like I said at the start of the video, perhaps you skipped it. In terms of collectability, investability, I don't know and I don't care, because I just want to play this game and have fun, and that's what it is to me. So if you're looking for that kind of stuff, hey, go look elsewhere, because I'm going to be talking about the gameplay side of things, the fun side of things, and, you know, making it worthwhile. Maybe asking questions about making it worthwhile to be at the LGS, right? Making it worthwhile for players to actually want to play this and have fun. So, yeah, and they're doing pretty good so far, because I've had a lot of fun with Grimpath. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and yeah. See you next time. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of lore too. I totally forgot. Look at this. There's like a little mini lore drop on the back of these. So this is the Fury Battalion. This is the Cult of the Brood. Like, yeah. I think the decks are a little bit different than what will be in here. I'm not entirely sure, but I love that these already got like lore and stuff. Okay, bye for real now. Okay, yeah, bye.